Welcome back to the culture of currency. Can you believe it has been halfway through this year already? This is a big video. If you're not aware, if you've not been tracking with us, I have been tracking the numbers on premium and generic silver over a year. This is really a year and a half at this point. I'm spending $100 on generic stuff and $100 on premium stuff every single month and bringing you the numbers. How are they selling and what is the difference between the two so that you know what you need to do with your money, because they don't act quite the same, and honestly the offloading process is vastly different, but there is rewards to be had depending on if you have time and other metrics like that. So we'll go ahead and get into that here. So let's go ahead and look at our charts. I'll zoom in here because that'll make it a lot easier for you to see. Let's go to 100. Nope, it's already on 100. Let's go 150. All right, so over here in the green, this was last year where I spent $100 a month. The green is basically your generic silver, and by generic, I mean not issued by a nation. These are not coins, these are silver rounds. And so what you'll see here in the green is that I have tracked spot and price, which gives us our premium, and I've also calculated via weight. So you notice, for example, a half ounce usually has a higher premium than a standard ounce, and that tends to be true. A quarter ounce, higher premium, right? So I've done all of those metrics for you. Over here in the blue, we have the ounces that are issued by a nation. These are going to be coins. Once again, the price, the spot, the premium, and the weight of those. And you'll notice the premiums are substantially higher here in the blue, which is where a lot of viewers thought, well, why would I ever spend that much money over spot for something? Well, now we have an answer, because a lot of us had feelings about this issue, but no one had facts. So I decided, you know what, I'll just plug in the numbers, track it over time, and see what that looks like. So what I did then, right here, let's go to our generic first, is I plugged those in just like you saw them in the chart, and then as each quarter ended, I put the spot price in for the generic and then calculated the difference based on the price we paid. And that gave us our value over time. Here's quarter 3, quarter 4, and for example, quarter 4 is the end of the year. Then we have the next year, quarter 1, and now we're at quarter 2, where we locked in spot at $36.23. And then we have, because of that, our quarter 4 movement was right here from last year. Quarter 1, we gained, and quarter 2, which is where we're at now with the price of silver going up, the movement has been $235 in the positive, and the value has been $1,440.13, which is just fantastic, because like I said, it's $100 a month, and all of these coins that I bought a lot lower than we're at now end up making money. And so as you can see, the difference from my original purchase on these, most of them, except for this little guy, are in the positive, right? So it's a rewarding thing to see. The numbers play out before you, but we also have our government issued bullion, which we did the same thing here. Put all the metrics right here, as you see in the blue, and then I went to places to find what they're actively sold for first, and then if I don't have that, I have to average it with what they're selling for, because that's obviously going to give you a little bit of a market analysis. But almost all of these I could find active sold images for, let's say on eBay, right? So for example, quarter 1, we had coins selling for more than I paid for them, even with the premium. Not all of them. There's Hammerhead, for example. I was almost negative $5. I was upside down on that. And then quarter 2, we did the same thing. Quarter 3, quarter 4. Now this is once again not telling what, let's say, eBay takes out and ship. No, this is just telling me what is somebody willing to pay for these coins. Now, that's the hard thing, is over time, if you were to go the premium route, you would have to source the buyer, but we do know they're out there. So that method would be something that you'd have to consider. But here we are at the current date, the end of quarter 2, and you notice a lot of these coins are sitting in the plus 10, plus 20 dollar range, somewhere in between 10 and $20 for the majority of them. A lot of them sitting around that $11, $12. All right, so when we go down here, we'll see where we're at right now. So we've had $418 in movement thus far since inception, and our value is $16.89. So what does that mean over time? Well, right here we have some charts, but before we get to them, here's all the numbers broken down. So the generic price paid over last year for $1,200 a month, right there, is going to be $1204.41. Our government bullion, we paid a bit more, $1270.38. The premiums being $96 in the generic and almost $300 in the premium, which is why a lot of people have issue with this. But as we'll see, that actually ends up being okay. The average generic premium was $2.34. The average government bullion premium was about $8. Weight in ounces, we had 39 in the generic and 35 in the premium, so we do know that argument of stacking for weight is valid. And then we have obviously the spot price that we locked in for each of our metrics. And then when we go to our gains and losses, our most recent, we have $235 gained in value, in the generic, and $418 in the government. And for the total value, we have $1440 and once again $1869. And then we see on a chart here, we have, and I should have labeled this and I didn't, the blue right here is going to be your premium silver. The teal right here is going to be your generic. And here we have the total value, very, very close for a while, and then it kind of starts to change. Green being the generic and the blue being the premium. So as you see, there are benefits to both. This is one of those things where if I were somebody in your shoes knowing this, I would figure out, well, what is the ratio? Maybe that does mean I can go out and buy some cool pieces, and not everything has to be just stacking for weight, because it actually can benefit you to have some premium silver on hand, so that if push comes to shove and you need to go pay for an AC repair, you go liquidate some of your standard silver, and then if you wanted to sell some of your premium stuff, you find a place like Numista or eBay, or maybe a coin show, and then you wait for the right buyer so that you can get $15-20 over spot, or not over spot, over what you paid for it on those items. So that being said, there are benefits to both, and neither one of these are bad ideas depending on the situation and circumstance. But I would say 100% in either one of them could limit you to a degree on the potential for not just enjoying your stack, but also having some profitability built in, which is always fun. So that being said, hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this opens your eyes to show you that there are benefits to both, and that maybe that's what you figure out on your end, is what is the ratio. Maybe it's an 80-20 or a 90-10 or a 70-30. I don't know, of where you go into the generic and premium. I'm going to continue to put in the work to show you what these numbers look like over time, using the exact same 1 year that we captured last year. And I'll probably still be putting $100 into both just to show you over time what that looks like, because everything we built here is to educate you and give you hope that what you see you can replicate. But that's what we have for you. Hope you enjoyed this, and as always, please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.